When Order 66 was executed, Jedi across the galaxy fell to their clone troopers. In this alternate timeline, Anakin Skywalker, now Darth Vader, personally confronts Yoda on Coruscant instead of traveling to Mustafar. In a brutal duel, Anakin's raw power and rage overwhelm the Grand Master of the Jedi. Yoda's death changes the fate of the galaxy forever. The Jedi Temple burned with smoke and fire as clone troopers marched through the halls. Anakin Skywalker, now Darth Vader, moved with relentless purpose. His eyes burned with hatred, his lightsaber ignited, humming with deadly intent. This time, he did not go to Mustafar. Instead, he climbed the highest chambers of the temple where Yoda waited. Yoda stood still, small but resolute, his green blade already glowing in the dim light. "Much darkness I sense in you, young Skywalker," he said calmly. "But return you still can." Anakin's jaw tightened. There is no return. The Jedi are traitors, and tonight you will fall with them. Their clash shook the temple. Yoda leapt with lightning speed, striking from above and below, but Anakin's fury was unmatched. Every strike carried the strength of his rage, his fear, and his burning need to prove himself. The walls cracked, statues toppled, and clones watched in awe as the two greatest warriors of the Force battled. For a moment, it seemed Yoda's wisdom and skill could withstand the storm. But Anakin was no longer the boy who once called him master. He pressed forward, blow after blow, until Yoda faltered under the weight of his assault. With a final strike, Anakin's blade pierced the Grandmaster. Yoda collapsed, his last breath whispering, "The future clouded it is." His body fell silent. Anakin stood over him, chest heaving, victorious but consumed by darkness. Palpatine's voice soon echoed in his mind, proud and commanding. "You have done what I could not. The Jedi are finished. Together, we will shape the galaxy." Without Yoda, the surviving Jedi lost their guide. Obi-Wan Kenobi fled into deeper exile, carrying the secret of the twins. Luke and Leia would grow without the training of the ancient master. Years later, when Luke would rise, he would face a Sith far stronger, a father without regret, and an empire far more powerful than history once knew. The galaxy grew darker that night, for when Yoda fell, hope itself seemed to die with him. When the Jedi Temple burned under the command of the clones, Anakin Skywalker walked through the halls filled with smoke and silence. His steps were no longer those of the Chosen One, but of a Sith apprentice. Palpatine had given him a single command: find Master Yoda and end him. In the shadows of the council chamber, Yoda waited. His green eyes were calm, but his heart knew the truth. He had felt Anakin's fall, yet hoped to turn him back. "Anakin," Yoda said softly, "blind you are by anger. Still, light remains in you." But Anakin's face was hardened, his eyes glowing with fire. "The Jedi are traitors. You are the last obstacle to peace." Their blades clashed, blue against green, the sound echoing across the chamber. Yoda leapt with speed, striking from every angle, but Anakin's fury gave him strength beyond measure. Each strike grew heavier, forcing Yoda backward. The duel raged across broken statues and shattered windows. For a moment, Yoda pressed forward, his wisdom guiding his hand. But Anakin's raw power was unstoppable. With a final furious strike, he brought his blade down. Yoda fell, his small form crumpling to the floor. Silence followed. Anakin stood over the fallen Grand Master, his chest heaving. He had done what even Palpatine had feared to attempt. When he returned to the Emperor, Palpatine's smile was wider than ever. "Lord Vader," he said, "you have brought true order to the galaxy. None shall stand against us now." Without Yoda, hope began to wither. The Jedi survivors scattered with no guidance. Obi-Wan Kenobi, broken by grief, went into deeper hiding. Far away, the infant twins Luke and Leia grew without the wisdom that Yoda would one day have given them. Years later, Luke would search for a teacher, but find only shadows. His training would be incomplete, his struggle with the dark side greater. The Empire would rise stronger, built on Anakin's victory over Yoda, a victory that silenced the galaxy's last great light. And in that silence, darkness reigned. When the Chancellor declared Order 66, the galaxy shook under the cries of war and betrayal. Jedi fell one by one, cut down by the very soldiers they once called brothers. On Coruscant, Anakin Skywalker walked into the Jedi Temple with fire burning in his eyes. The man who once dreamed of peace now carried the name Darth Vader. His mission was clear: destroy all who remained, even the wisest of them all. Deep inside the temple, Master Yoda waited. The small figure stood still, calm in the storm. He had foreseen this moment, but hoped that Anakin's heart might still be saved. When the heavy doors opened and the dark figure entered, Yoda's hope dimmed. "Anakin," Yoda said softly, "turn back, you must." But the young warrior's reply was only anger. "There is no turning back. The Jedi betrayed me. You will not stop the rise of the Empire." Their blades ignited with a flash of blue and green. The room filled with sparks of light as master and apprentice clashed with all the fury of the Force. Yoda's speed was unmatched, leaping, twisting, and striking with precision. Yet Anakin's strength, fueled by rage and loss, pressed harder and harder. The battle shook the temple walls. Statues crumbled. Flames licked at the edges of the great hall. Yoda's calm defense began to waver under the storm of Anakin's power. The younger warrior drove him back, stroke after stroke, until at last Yoda faltered. In a final surge, Anakin struck the Grand Master down. Silence followed, broken only by his heavy breath. The green blade faded, and with it, the last great light of the Jedi Order. Across the galaxy, the survivors felt the void. Hope dimmed in every hidden corner. Without Yoda's wisdom, the Jedi became scattered shadows, hunted and broken. Palpatine welcomed his apprentice with cold satisfaction. "You have done what even I might not have achieved. The galaxy is yours, Lord Vader." And so the darkness spread unchecked. Luke and Leia, still hidden as children, would one day grow without Yoda's guiding voice. The Empire reigned stronger, and the shadow of Anakin's victory stretched long across the stars. During the chaos of Order 66, the Jedi Temple burned with the screams of betrayal. Clones turned on their masters, and Anakin Skywalker, no longer the hero of the Republic, strode through the carnage as Darth Vader. Yet in this moment, destiny shifted. Instead of traveling to Mustafar, Anakin faced the one Jedi Master who had always stood as a symbol of wisdom and hope: Yoda. The small green master met Anakin in the grand halls of the temple. His voice was calm, though his eyes carried sorrow. "Much darkness in you I sense, Anakin. Turn back you still can." But Anakin's fury had no room for hesitation. "The Jedi betrayed me. They betrayed the Republic. You are no different." His blue blade ignited with a snap hiss, striking against Yoda's green saber. Their duel shook the temple itself. Yoda's speed and agility met Anakin's raw strength and rage. Sparks lit the air, stone cracked beneath their feet, and for a time neither could gain the upper hand. But Anakin's anger grew hotter, more violent with each swing. Yoda, weary from years of war, faltered under the relentless assault. In a final desperate clash, Anakin struck Yoda down. The Grand Master fell, his small body still and silent, the light of the Jedi dimming in that instant. Palpatine watched from the shadows, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "You have done what even I could not. You are truly my apprentice, Lord Vader." Without Yoda, the Jedi had no guiding star. Obi-Wan Kenobi, heartbroken and alone, went into deeper hiding. Across the galaxy, survivors found no wisdom to rally them, and one by one, the Sith hunted them down. Years later, Luke Skywalker would rise, but with no Yoda to train him, his path was uncertain. The Empire's grip grew tighter, its shadow longer, and the hope of freedom dimmed. For in that fateful night, when Anakin's blade silenced Yoda, the galaxy's last great guardian was lost, and the darkness reigned unchallenged. When the Emperor gave the command for Order 66, the galaxy shook with betrayal. The Jedi were hunted everywhere, cut down by the very soldiers they had trusted. On Coruscant, the Jedi temple burned, but one final battle still waited inside its ancient halls. Anakin Skywalker, now cloaked in darkness as Darth Vader, entered the temple not to kill younglings, but to destroy the one who could truly stop him, Master Yoda. The small green master stood in silence as Anakin approached. Yoda's eyes carried sorrow, not fear. "Skywalker," Yoda said softly, "the shadow deep in you, it has won." Anakin ignited his blade. The Jedi betrayed the Republic. "You are finished, old fool." Their clash was fierce. Yoda leapt with incredible speed, striking with precision. But Anakin's fury was unlike anything Yoda had faced. Every strike shook the chamber, every swing filled with hatred and raw strength. For a time, wisdom matched power. Yet Anakin's rage only grew, feeding him more strength with each blow. Slowly, Yoda began to falter, his small body straining against the storm. At last, Anakin's blade struck true. The chamber echoed with the sound of finality. Yoda fell, his eyes closing as though accepting the will of the Force. Anakin stood over him, chest heaving. For the first time, he had slain not only a master, but the very symbol of the Jedi. The Emperor felt it instantly. His apprentice had done what he himself might not have achieved. "You have secured the future of the Sith," Palpatine told him, his voice trembling with satisfaction. Without Yoda, the surviving Jedi were lost, scattered without guidance. Obi-Wan hid in exile, carrying only the faint hope of protecting Luke. But the galaxy grew darker. The rebellion struggled to rise, for no voice of wisdom remained to inspire them. Luke Skywalker would one day feel the pull of destiny, but without Yoda to train him, his path was uncertain, more fragile, and more dangerous. And so, with Yoda gone, the Sith stood unchallenged. The Empire's shadow stretched across the stars, and the dream of balance in the Force became only a whisper, waiting for a new dawn. What if Anakin killed Yoda during Order 66? The night of Order 66 was filled with fire, betrayal, and death. Jedi across the galaxy fell one by one, but on Coruscant a clash unlike any other began. Anakin Skywalker, no longer the hero of the Republic, but the chosen servant of the Sith, entered the Jedi temple not only to destroy its students, but also to face the one who could still stop him, Master Yoda. The ancient Jedi stood in silence, his small form calm, his eyes filled with sorrow rather than fear. Anakin ignited his blade, his voice heavy with rage. "You will not stand in my way, old master. The Jedi are finished." Yoda lifted his green lightsaber and whispered, "Much to learn, still you have." The duel erupted with furious speed. Anakin struck with burning power, each blow driven by anger and betrayal. Yoda met every strike with agility, leaping, parrying, his wisdom guiding each move. But Anakin was no longer the boy Yoda had trained. He was the dark fire of the Force unleashed. Their clash shattered pillars, their blades sparking through the grand chamber. For a moment it seemed Yoda might hold him, but Anakin's fury grew. He drew on the dark side with every breath, striking harder, faster, until Yoda faltered. With a final cry, Anakin's blade cut deep, and the Grand Master of the Jedi fell. The galaxy trembled that night. Palpatine smiled as Anakin knelt before him, blood and smoke upon his armor. The Emperor declared, "You are truly my apprentice, Lord Vader. None can oppose us now." Without Yoda's wisdom, the Jedi survivors scattered without guidance, hunted down in the shadows. Obi-Wan Kenobi, burdened by grief, fled into exile with no master left to share his pain. Luke and Leia would one day grow without Yoda's teaching, their path uncertain, their hope weaker. And Anakin, now Darth Vader in full, walked proudly into darkness, believing he had slain the very soul of the Jedi. The Empire's reign grew longer, its chains heavier, as the galaxy entered an age where hope itself seemed lost. When Order 66 spread across the galaxy, Jedi everywhere fell to their own clone troopers. On Coruscant, Anakin Skywalker walked through the smoke-filled halls of the Jedi Temple, his eyes burning with rage. He expected to find frightened younglings and desperate survivors. Instead, waiting for him in the silence was Master Yoda. The small green master looked calm, but his eyes were filled with sorrow. "Anakin," Yoda said softly, "the path you walk leads only to ruin." Anakin's grip on his lightsaber tightened. "No, the Jedi betrayed the Republic. I bring order. I bring peace." Their blades ignited with a flash of blue and green. The duel that followed shook the temple. Yoda's speed and wisdom guided every strike, but Anakin's fury was unlike anything the old master had faced. Each swing of Anakin's blade carried the weight of betrayal, anger, and ambition. For a moment, Yoda held his ground, deflecting blow after blow. But Anakin pressed harder, using the Force to hurl debris and collapse pillars. The temple echoed with destruction. Finally, Anakin's raw power overwhelmed the Master's defense. With a final, devastating strike, Yoda fell. The silence afterward was unbearable. Anakin stood over the fallen Jedi, breathing heavily, his face twisted with victory and pain. Palpatine's voice echoed in his mind. "You are now the true enforcer of the Empire." Without Yoda, the Jedi Order had no guiding light. Survivors scattered across the galaxy, broken and leaderless. Obi-Wan Kenobi felt the loss from afar, his heart heavy with grief. He knew the burden of hope now rested only on his shoulders. Anakin, however, felt stronger than ever. Killing the wisest of the Jedi gave him unshakable confidence. His power grew quickly under the Emperor's shadow. No master remained to warn him, no rival to challenge him. The galaxy grew darker. Worlds that might have resisted the Empire surrendered quickly, fearful of Vader's unmatched might. The rebellion that would one day rise found little ground to stand on. And somewhere, hidden and waiting, Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa were left without the teacher who might have guided them. The fate of the galaxy was no longer uncertain. It bent toward the will of Darth Vader. The Jedi Temple burned as clone troopers marched through its halls. Screams echoed, lightsabers clashed, and the Order crumbled in fire and betrayal. But deep within the heart of Coruscant, a greater battle was about to begin. Anakin Skywalker, no longer a Jedi, but the new apprentice of Darth Sidious, entered the chamber where Yoda stood waiting. The old master's green blade ignited, glowing against the smoke-filled air. Anakin's own lightsaber hummed to life, his eyes blazing with anger. "Anakin," Yoda said softly, "still hope there is, if turn back you will." But Anakin's voice was sharp with hatred. "Hope is dead. The Jedi are finished. You will fall, just as the others." Their duel erupted like a storm. Yoda leapt with speed and precision, striking with centuries of wisdom. Yet Anakin's power was raw and unrelenting, each blow fueled by fury and betrayal. The walls shook as their blades clashed, sparks flying across the temple floor. Yoda pressed forward, but Anakin's strength grew darker, heavier. A final surge of rage sent the small master crashing to the ground. Weakened and cornered, Yoda raised his blade once more, but Anakin struck the final blow. The Grand Master of the Jedi Order fell, his light extinguished forever. Silence filled the temple. Anakin stood over the fallen master, his chest rising with triumph. Sidious soon arrived, his voice cold and triumphant. "You have done what even I could not, Lord Vader. The Jedi are no more." Across the galaxy, the death of Yoda shattered the last hope of the survivors. Scattered Jedi were left leaderless, hunted one by one until none remained. Obi-Wan Kenobi, alone in exile, carried the burden of protecting the children without Yoda's guidance. Years later, when Luke Skywalker searched for answers, there was no wise teacher waiting on Dagobah. Only the memory of a fallen master and the shadow of a father who had grown far stronger in darkness. With Yoda gone, the Empire's reign was unbroken. The stars themselves seemed dimmer, as if the galaxy knew balance had been lost. And in the silence of victory, Darth Vader's path of darkness was sealed forever. The Jedi Temple burned with smoke and sorrow as the clones carried out Order 66. Anakin Skywalker, now consumed by his new title as Darth Vader, walked with grim purpose. But this time, his path was not to Mustafar. Palpatine had given him a darker task: destroy Master Yoda, the one Jedi too powerful to be left alive. Inside the temple's great hall, Yoda stood calm, his green blade igniting with a hum. "Much darkness in you, I sense," Yoda said, his voice steady though his eyes carried sadness. Anakin's own lightsaber snapped to life, his anger flaring. "The Jedi are traitors. You will fall like the rest." Their clash shook the temple. Yoda's speed and wisdom met Anakin's raw strength and fury. Sparks lit the walls as blue and green blades collided again and again. For a moment, it seemed Yoda's agility might turn the tide. But Anakin's rage, fueled by betrayal and fear of loss, gave him power beyond reason. With a final, brutal strike, Anakin struck Yoda down. The temple grew silent, as if the Force itself mourned. News of Yoda's death spread quickly among the surviving Jedi. Despair crushed what little hope remained. Scattered and leaderless, they became easy prey for the Empire. Palpatine smiled, knowing his apprentice had succeeded where he himself might have faltered. Anakin stood taller, his ego swelling. The galaxy now feared him not only as Vader, but as the slayer of the greatest Jedi Master. Years passed. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the last beacon of light, went into hiding. Without Yoda to train Luke and Leia, their journey was far more uncertain. Luke grew restless, struggling with powers he could barely understand. Without guidance, the dark side whispered to him more strongly. The rebellion fought bravely, but the Empire reigned stronger and longer. The Jedi Order was gone, not even a shadow left. And in the darkness, Darth Vader walked proudly, his victory over Yoda forever echoing as the moment the galaxy's hope truly died. During the chaos of Order 66, when clone troopers turned against the Jedi, Anakin Skywalker marched through the Jedi Temple with fire in his eyes. But this time, his mission was not to face younglings or fallen knights. Palpatine had commanded him to destroy the greatest of the Jedi, Master Yoda. Yoda stood in the dim light of the temple's council chamber, his small figure calm, but his presence in the Force powerful. He knew Anakin had fallen, yet he still tried one last time. "Anakin, return you must. This path, only sorrow it brings." But Anakin's rage drowned out every word. Their lightsabers clashed with fury. Yoda's agility and wisdom guided him, striking with speed and precision. Anakin fought with raw power, his strikes heavy, fueled by hatred and betrayal. The chamber shook as the two legends collided, green and blue light flashing like storms of destiny. For a moment, it seemed Yoda might prevail, his movements too swift for Anakin's anger. But Anakin's strength only grew. The dark side coursed through him, each blow heavier than the last. With a desperate surge, Anakin struck Yoda down, the Grand Master falling silent in the ruins of the council chamber. Across the galaxy, Jedi felt the loss like a wound in the Force. Hope flickered and dimmed. Without Yoda's wisdom, survivors scattered aimlessly, hunted and broken. Palpatine welcomed Anakin with pride. "You have done what no Sith has ever achieved. Even Yoda could not stand before you. Now you are truly Darth Vader." Anakin's heart swelled with dark triumph. Obi-Wan Kenobi, hiding far away, felt the echo of his master's fall. Grief burned in him, but he knew he could not face Anakin yet. The time would come, but later, when Luke Skywalker needed him most. Years passed under the iron grip of the Empire. Without Yoda to guide him, Luke struggled when the truth of his destiny emerged. He learned slower, carried doubt heavier, and faced the shadow of his father without the wisdom he once might have had. The galaxy shuddered under Sith rule. Where there had been a chance for balance, there was now only darkness, and the fire of rebellion burned smaller than ever before.